Security Halt podcast. Simple podcast for dudes, by dudes, but not for by dudes. Just especially veterans. Security Halt. You take a knee, face out, sit down for a little bit, and chill out. Listen to us, Cab, Paul, and Greg, say some really stupid shit that'll make you laugh and smile. Security Halt. It's what you doctor ordered, or gynecologist, or perhaps the doctor that looks at your beehole.
There's only one rule. It's mimosas by 11. There's only one rule. Mimosas by 11.
That's the single greatest thing you've ever said. And I would even say it's the brave.
Like, this is probably going to be some horseshit propaganda for China. The news is like, hey, for some reason people think this is horseshit propaganda for China.
Valid point, Paul, but where else are people going to get riveting content and a consistent list of kill, marry, and fuck? I mean, no one's doing it, and someone has to provide it for the people. And that someone is us, Security Halt Podcast. There he is.
Yeah, you thought I couldn't. I can suck vape through a mic or through a mask. Yeah.
When it comes to sucking, no one can beat Greg.
Yeah, get out of here. Next level shit. I'm not sending you anything. You guys are tyrants. You know what we do to tyrants around here? We bow down to them.
We roll on our backs, exposing our belly. Gently urinating on ourselves to appease the kind guts.
I want to do the steaks, but I don't want to do the steaks. I want to save the steaks for when I'm ready to do steaks. Yeah, so let's do them tomorrow. That's what we bought them for.
Tomorrow, of course, being the official Greg Barron family holiday of Festubius.
Yes, Festubius is where Tori and I got married.
Greg dons
it with fornication and steaks.
Greg dons his ceremonial loincloth made of burlap.
Loincloth's the best thing I've ever had.
Now we're just waiting for Paul to join us. Greg, I'm surprised you're not traveling for work. That's awesome.
Well, these things happen when you work a lot. Tori, yes. What'd you say? Okay, I don't care. If you don't care, I don't care. Yeah, I know. I yelled at you about shoes because you get a new pair of shoes every week.
There's nothing wrong with that.
They weren't for you, but they're for a child that will grow out of them very quickly. Listen, I like Vans, but I don't get new Vans every week.
Yeah, you got to get a Payless shoes.
Tim, how have you been, brother?
Good, man. Dude, I just been fucking working my dick off on knives because the little 7-week break that I took, there's a bunch of super complex projects that I was supposed to get done and was like, hey everyone, sorry, I lost my shit, so I gotta take a break. And dudes were pretty cool about it, but when I got back, it's like the whole hey, I just paid you $800 for this knife, when is it going to be done? So fuck.
Shit.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And when I first got home, that's when it was whirlwind of emotions, So I didn't even want to work on knives, which was super weird for me.
Yeah.
But it's that one thing, or just we're workaholics. So for me, it was kind of well, I can't be a pussy about this. What am I going to do? Tell them I'm not making their knife because I'm sad, So and actually what's nice about that though, is it actually helped, because, when you're depressed, you shouldn't just not do anything. And so, so I was forcing myself to work on stuff and actually, just slowly, through work, was kind of getting out of that and finding the love for knife making again. But that didn't stop. Like, dude, I have so many super complex orders right now. Like the one I just finished. I don't know if I just posted it, maybe like an hour ago.
Yeah, I saw that. That's insanely fucking beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, man. And that one's like one of the simpler ones that will be coming up, which is pretty wild. You know, like a lot of these upcoming pieces are going to just take a ridiculous amount of time. So, I've just been working around the clock.
I love how you say, yeah, it's a pretty non-complex. And as I'm looking at the picture, this is straight functional art, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, dude,
I'm really excited for us to get to that part of the show because, my goodness, the work you create, these, ladies and gentlemen, the artistry behind these blades is unbelievable. Each one of these pieces, honestly, could be in a museum. It's just, and I'm not I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody's ass. I'm a big fan of half-face blades. I'm a big fan of tour knives. But when I look at Tim's work, it's legit something that could be in a museum or in the next fucking Hollywood film of a guy that's just going around the backwoods killing people with a blade.
Yeah. Are we podcasting right now?
We are 100% live, and thank you for bringing that up because I see the icon and it says Paul Strobel is on. Is that correct?
Paul Strobel is always on.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have already been deep in the discussion, but we are on. We are live. I am Cab, and today I am joined by my co-host, Greg, the sexy boy, and Paul, beardy boy Strobel, with our guest, Tim from, I'm going to butcher this, I know I am, Ouroboros Forge?
Yeah, that works. Ouroboros. I mean, potato, or whatever. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, too.
Yeah, potato, yes.
Yeah.
Aurora Borealis in June. That's what you're telling me, right?
What's funny is when someone asks me to spell it, and I'm like, fuck. It's that symbol.
What you need to know, it is a forge that belongs in the nether realm.
I don't spell. I just hammer steel with fire.
Tim controls a magical dwarf with a magical flute.
I don't know the name of it. I just know the sound it makes when I beat its fucking face in with my hammer.
Yes.
Every time I think of Tim, I just see him clad in leather, but no shirt, sweat beating down his face, striking upon an anvil with a mighty hammer. Thor and other dwarves watching him eagerly for his next creation.
Wearing chaps to diffuse the body heat.
Yeah, not even chaps, which, by the way, I've done this exactly what you're talking about, minus the chaps. Not recommended, by the way. Scale or flaming steel is not conducive to the skin. And when you have a bunch of tattoos that are thousands of dollars, I'm like in full clothes, full leather, just like you said. I have bracers and a leather apron and stuff, like just in the North Carolina heat with forge welding temps, just fucking dying in my garage. just to protect my tattoos.
I mean, that's the only important part, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's great to have you on. We have a great show today. Hopefully, Greg got the notes this week. I know Paul did.
We had notes?
We're not surprised, just disappointed.
All right, Dad. Yes, I got the fucking notes.
Hey, I'm gonna go for milk, son.
The last words my father ever spoke to me.
Yeah, mine was, I'm gonna go to the sex store.
Which it's a perfect segue into finally seeing the Suicide Squad part 2. Not a bad movie.
It was a sex store, yes.
I mean, watching Harley Quinn for a good 2 hours is always a bonus. Pete Davidson gets shot in the head. That was awesome.
Ooh.
Yes, quite quickly.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Wait, has everybody watched it? Paul?
You know how much I wanted to
It's
see
in the
it because
fucking notes, Paul.
I didn't even know it was out, to be honest. So I know it's coming, but I'm like, yeah, whatever. Fuck
It's part of the notes.
You know
Are
it's
sure about
coming.
the notes?
Yeah, to discuss it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta watch it to discuss it, you son of a bitch.
Spoil that shit, because rule number 1 for Paul is DC movies suck. Change my mind.
Well,
Unless they're animated, those movies suck.
I will say this. I could watch an entire feature film of just the mentally handicapped shark just having daily interactions with people.
Hand. Yes, that's your hand. He just nods. Yes.
Sweet. That was God. I want to see a remake of Forrest Gump, but with that CGI shark.
They did a great job, dude. Oh my god, Rain Man with the shark. We can the list goes on, but King Shark, a fantastic performance.
He acted better than 90% of the real live actors making movies today.
Except Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Margaret Robbie still crushing the role. She knows what she's doing. She's in it.
100%.
She's psychotic.
Idris Elba, great job. Even John Cena, great job. So
he actually did great.
He shocked me. Say what you will about the guys pandering to China, but he crushed that role.
Or his whitey tighties. I was impressed.
That bulge was phenomenal.
God. Now I get it.
There was a lot of pausing in that, wasn't there, Greg?
I had a lot of screenshots. I didn't have to pause it. We have technology now.
That's Greg's background for his cell phone from now on.
Yes.
That's what he catfishes people with now.
It's just a picture of the dong.
Exactly.
Two steaks smothered in white and tidies.
Want to see what you're not going to get? Here, check this picture out.
You want to catch a fish, you need a big worm.
You see, folks,
the fish.
What Paul did there was he made a reference to the massive cock in the underpants. Oh, I give the New Suicide Squad 4 Jizz Skaters out of 5. Solid.
We're gonna go off of that measuring scale. I don't.
That's too much, right?
Well, we're trying to get Jizz Skater into Marvel, not DC. So DC. I can't really support this. Can't really support this.
Agree to disagree.
No, it's not. That's not it. We're trying to get Jizz Skater into Marvel.
Kevin Feige is real close to emailing us again. I got a feeling.
I talked to Shane, and Shane said Marvel, and I was like, "All right, you got it, Big Daddy Shane."
Shout out to the Mill podcast competition that's going on. We were a day or two late to submit for it. But to the audience and anybody that's ever listened to this abortion that is of a podcast, I promise you, next year, we will be in the running.
Even more of an abortion.
I don't care what we have to do. You can't stop us, Shane. You know who you are. With your rules, your regulations. I have marked my calendar. July 1st, you will get our submission for best military podcast.
And Greg is a geisha.
And Greg has a geisha.
That's a completely different category, but we'll win that one too.
So today we have quite a show planned out for everybody. It's going to be great. But first up on the agenda, I want to know our new feature segment, of course, being Paul versus Greg. COVID-19. Who is going to use it for good and who's going to use it for evil?
Paul, by all means, seeing as how I'm the one sitting here with a vaccine and COVID at the same time.
Gosh. I'm gonna modify the COVID vaccine.
You go first.
So it makes you more susceptible to get the virus, so I can sell the next round of vaccine.
You succeeded, you bastard.
That's how I'm gonna do this. Shut up and give me your money.
God damn it, that's perfect, because that's the direction I was going to go in, because I think that's what I'm experiencing now.
And then I'm going to bully anybody that doesn't get it. Like, you must hate humanity. You want to kill the Jews.
All right, Greg, let's hear your proposition for this.
The only thing you can do is use it for the use that it already has, which is evil. Yeah, Paul nailed it, because I literally have tested positive, and it is starting to whoop my ass, yet I was vaccinated fully, and nobody can explain it. And my company's like, you should go get tested again, because we need you here. And I was like, I don't think you know how this works. But all right. So...
Science, no one understands it.
Yeah,
I will say this.
The current surge numbers... Yeah. Definitely the AIDS. Current surge numbers, it was like 74% of the people getting COVID are vaccination recipients.
Ooh.
Yeah, because good thing that thing stops it. So I'm going to say. I'm glad that's
tough call.
Working its plan.
Tough call on Biden to fucking push so hard for something that doesn't work. Like prison systems.
Like Hunter Biden.
Hey, you leave that beautiful boy out of this.
You leave Hunter out of this.
You leave. He's had a tough life. Did you know his brother passed away, and then he had to support his family, so he hooked up with his dead brother's wife, and then left her for a stripper? Wait, that's not helping him out. Anyways, I digress. Hunter's a human treasure. We love him.
Hey, what's the college boy phrase? Bros, wives, or hoes, or something like? I don't remember.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Nothing like that. I mean, look,
you nailed it.
If your brother dies and he has a mildly attractive wife, you would
jump on that,
and then leave her for a stripper you impregnated. I mean, it's a classical tale as old as time.
And then bang T-boys in China because you suck.
Stop being so judgy.
Hey, you have to open up and broaden your horizons, okay?
Speaking of opening things up, those T-boys better be stretching because, damn.
Paul, who hurt you?
Hunter Biden.
I knew it.
His dad just sat there sniffing me the whole time.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Speaking of which, I have some insider information. I didn't know if I was going to talk about it today, but I'll give it real quick. I've been doing a lot of side hustles and a lot of side gigs, and this past week, I got given a really good opportunity to work as a private chef for Obama's 60th birthday bash, and wow. The things I know, we normal everyday Americans were not allowed to partake. We all had to wear double masks and consent to a penile mask as well. But I was able to peek into a segment of the American people that a lot of people don't get a good view in. That's the Hollywood and governmental elite, and they know how to party. They know how to party. It was eye-opening. Oprah jumped out of a cake naked. I saw two anchors for a highly reputable news program doing blow on the salad bar. It was eye-opening. I couldn't believe that I was watching Don Lemon. I mean, allegedly Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo doing cocaine in the bathroom. It was
two individuals that look exactly like them.
It was very similar.
Hollywood and their makeup. Wow.
I know. Don
Simply
Cheadle,
wow.
Propositioned one of the waitresses for a weird night of cocaine and partying in the parking lot.
I bet they had these giant bottles of 1.75 liters of Evan Williams Black, just like I have, but it's not real. right?
Well-
so I just drink this whole thing and it's not real.
You know, Dr. Fauci was there, and
Nope.
he was raging.
Nope. He's in China helping cure us.
He did a full DJ set, and he was spraying champagne on everyone. I think
They had like
They have
really
a new
fancy
theory.
beer though. They had like really fancy beer. Instead of like
They did.
Michelob, it was like MK Ultra or something. I don't know. But it was awesome. It was stuff
Dr.
you won't even
Fauci.
remember.
Dr. Fauci is marshmallow. Holy shit.
it was. I wasn't going to tell you, but yes, it's true. And he was giving Obama lots of Molly. It was.
He was like, after we're done, guys, y'all go play Fortnite and we'll rock out to my jams.
But yeah, I did not make as much money as I thought I would because come to find out, these people don't tip. And bunch of assholes.
Well, if you just open up your adrenal glands.
Just the tip is not what you understood it to be.
No, not at all. Yeah,
There was
very
no money.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get fucking who was it? Epstein?
Don't
Is that-
say
is
his
that
name
the
out
one?
loud.
Is that the
Don't-
one?
Don't
Is that what
say
is
his
that what
name.
happens? I can't wait to get Epstein.
If you say his name 3 times in the mirror,
Epstein.
don't.
Epstein.
Oh,
Epstein.
you did it. Hillary Clinton is coming into your sleep tonight.
God, I
You're
hope
going to
so.
commit suicide. You're going to join the 22.
Oh God.
Hey, we're allowed to joke about that, right?
Hey, it's our word. We can say it.
Okay.
As long as we give helpful tips and advice on how to avoid feeling that, we'll be okay.
Yeah. Cab's
Just
over
don't
here
say
like,
Epstein.
oh, shit.
One of our issues is we all have a dark sense of humor to deal with our losses. So yeah, it's our word.
It's our,
Hey,
Cab's,
if you guys-
Cab's legitimately sitting over here like, fuck, man, this is my career. Like, what are we doing?
If you guys are legitimately worried about this, just do push-ups and put it on Facebook. That's how you save lives.
that's not how you save lives. You save lives by outreach and communication and building a network of brotherhood. With that being
You
said,
know.
Push-ups, big help. Push-ups helps.
with that being said, welcome today's guest, Tim, the man, the myth, the legend, our
Yes,
Raider
the
brother.
legend.
Yes,
That is
Do the
me.
push-ups for us.
Always. What's that?
Tim.
Oh, hey, one thing I want to say real quick
Yes.
is it's super. Hey, how are you guys going to edit like cussing and stuff like that?
No,
No.
we leave lots of cussing in. There's only
Alright,
a few things you can't say, and I think you know what those are. You can't talk about George Soros or say anything bad about him.
Or apparently
Yeah,
Epstein.
You can't point to where he put the money.
All right, perfect. Because you would have to bleep out a lot of what I say, because that is something that I do not have control of yet. Is my profanity. Which, by the way, I wanted to say, what's fucking awesome is listening to you guys in your podcast, because it reminds me of being like in a team room, like the shit that you guys say. If anyone else, like the audience, wants to know, like that isn't, part of just a military brotherhood or whatnot, like just listening to this podcast, you'll get a really good idea of what your taxpayer dollars are going to. It's just dudes sitting in a room talking about shit that you guys talk about.
Sorry about all the dick jokes.
And a lot of
Yes.
cum. A lot of
yes.
cum.
Whole
Mostly
lot of
cum.
cum.
America, you know you're paying for.
Just bottom dollar going to the best group of people ever.
That's right.
Tim, you're an artist, you're a husband, a father, a badass fucking raider, and you are by far the one person I want to talk about this wonderful subject of meticulous in your preparation leads to flawless execution, which and then turns into our obsession, which I think you are the absolute best person to give us that insight. We've known each other through our recovery, and I think today you will be our teacher in the ways of how to dial it back.
I don't know if I'll be the teacher of that. I can teach you what not to do. Because I live in obsession, which is why when I read the notes, I was like, oh man, this is going to be perfect. because this is what I'm currently battling and have battled my entire life is obsession with skill sets, with whatever the flavor of the day is or of the years, depending on how long the obsession goes. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I haven't taken any tests or anything to see if I have like a obsessive compulsive disorder. But if I don't have it, I'm pretty fucking close to it when it comes to just everyday life and how stuff has to be. And I think like military in general tend to be on the spectrum somewhere when it comes to like just not being able to handle chaos and needing structure within everything. A lot of us, we like to say, especially in soft, like that we work in austere environments and we operate within the gray and stuff. But like when you think about how we operate on an individual level, we are very much black and white, and things have to have like an intense structure. Like even if you're thinking about like unconventional warfare, there is still doctrine for that, right? Outside of things like that seem very complex, you're at home and the chaos of just having a family, there is no doctrine for that. So I think that's why a lot of us, with those obsessive personalities, do really well in our job. And this is just obviously only one facet of the conversation, but we do really well in our job because we have that structure, that doctrine to draw from. And then that just doesn't exist at home. We're thrown to chaos and we don't know what to do.
Well, so
yeah. Sorry. Oh, and let me just preface like this whole conversation we're going to have. As probably you guys have, I have TBI, so I tend to, and I'm also a tangential thinker, so I tend to go off on tangents, and then I forget completely what the hell I was talking about and why I'm telling you that. So just try to keep me on track, because I'll just fucking go off on something.
Welcome to the first 8-hour podcast.
Yeah,
where we don't know what the fuck we talked about.
Yeah, exactly. So
true.
That's a warning. And one of my obsessions is I feel like whatever it is that I'm talking about and I'm trying to explain, I need you to understand it just as well as I do. So if I start to go into too much detail or and rambling on too much about a specific thing, just reel me in, because I'll just keep going. So,
well, you're in company that absolutely does the same thing. So,
all right, sweet.
We're all gonna just ramble until our wives yell at us.
We'll interject reminders with cues such as dick jokes. Inject a dick joke, Greg.
My dick is a joke.
Inject was a dick joke.
He's like a fucking computer, Tim. Look at him. Precision. But yes, one thing I want to talk about, Tim, I want to talk about your early years. And you were telling me when we first met in Laurel Ridge and talking about your drive and passion, not just the later years, but in the formative years when it came to things like music. And then when you went into that preparation phase for a military career, tell us about that, like those early years of Tim.
All right. So one thing that I've definitely come to believe is that dudes in the military, and especially soft, tend to not have like great childhoods. And I know you guys had brought that up in a podcast prior to the one we're recording. Yeah. Anyways, but so mine is no exception, and just know that it's gonna get kind of wild, I guess, because it's gonna take me explaining certain things in order to make sense of why I'm so obsessive about detail when it comes to like music or drawing or painting or forging, things of that nature. So like most of us, my parents split when I was 6, and I was old enough to understand what was happening but not why. And I ended up what I didn't realize was that my mother had, quote unquote, like kidnapped us from my father. My father was put into a mental institution, and my mother had told him, like, yo, when you get out, we're not going to be here. And obviously we didn't realize that, my sister and I, we move away. Like I said, there was no explanation. It was just, hey, we're going to my mother's house. So fast forward to moving to Madera in California. I'm living with my grandmother. And what I don't realize, and just like this seems to be a trend throughout my life, is some of my a lot of my caretakers tend to have psychological issues. My grandmother, I'm not sure exactly what her issues were, but she was absolutely fucking crazy. And I mean like diagnosable, not like in the funny way. Oh, it is funny. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's like literally that's very much like my life story.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it gets much better.
I have so many comments that I have not shared yet.
Yeah. Well, feel free, man. Like, throw them in there as I go, because there's going to be a lot of material with what I say.
So there's two ways to look at it in my view. You're saying that your parents split up, right?
Yeah.
And that could have affected you in a way. Whereas I, on my side, say I fucking wish that would have happened, because maybe it wouldn't have been so bad had they actually done so, because my mom is a fucking piece of shit. If my dad had left her earlier and fought to have me separated from her, hey, maybe I would have joined the Air Force and made something out of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are always hard to deal with. Like,
thank God they beat the shit out of you, Greg. Thank God. I wouldn't want you any different, you little Avril Lavigne loving freak.
Yeah, dude, it's hard when you like kind of look back at shit and you think of like what could be. And there's actually a cognitive distortion. I forget what it's called, like that targets that exact thing. Mm-hmm. And military tend to do this a lot because of the way that we, handle AARs and stuff. Like, it's like, okay, let's look at what happened.
All the what ifs.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, how can we prevent this from happening in the future? And although like you looking at your past is not going to prevent, you staying with your parents in the future, it's just the way that we're like, quote unquote, programmed, and so you're looking back at that like, fuck, like what could have been. But at the same time, like so with the story that I'm going to be telling here too, everyone has their own sob story, but if anyone were to ask me like, hey, would you change anything in the past? And I would say absolutely not. Just because
it brought you where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. And that was something that I had a hard time understanding in the recent past. And it wasn't until actually Laurel Ridge when I started thinking that, because I was just so angry about like so many things, and was like, if only this or if only that, or had I done this, like this would be different. Things would be different. I would be different. And now I've just come to the realization that like, fuck that, dude. Like I am who I am, and I have a lot of really awesome skill sets because of how I grew up. And these skill sets are things that I'll be able to employ in the future to better like the communities that I choose to be a part of, as well as my family, and also
the Proud Boys. Yes,
the Proud Boys. But yeah, man, like using that shit to also help like disenfranchised youth, which is something that I'm planning on working with in the future, to kind of give them that guidance, because I've already been through that shit, So
yeah,
definitely wouldn't change any of it. But
keep telling us. Keep telling us. You got to your grandma's.
Oh yeah.
She's certifiably batshit crazy.
Yeah, and along with majority of the inhabitants. So this was a 2-story house. I think it was around 6 or 7 bedrooms, but there was like 20 people living in this house. And
San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it was very San Francisco, but like an asylum in San Francisco, because majority of the people that were living there were also diagnosably insane. And yeah, and we're talking like the walking around like hand near the mouth and like rocking back and forth and shaking and talking to yourself type crazy. And as a 6-year-old, that's kind of a weird fucking thing to see, like and it wasn't like so much like scary as it was just I didn't understand it. And not only that, but there was just too many people in the house, and the house was really run down. There was like very little carpet. It was mostly uneven cement and tile. And what was I going to say? Oh, so like when you went to go take a shower, for I don't know why, but they felt like they needed to save water, probably because like majority of the people, like my grandmother, she came from Mexico, and she was very poor in Mexico. So I mentioned that this is just a habit that kind of came over with her. But they would just fill the bathtubs full of water and just leave the water like standing water. Well, when you went to go take a shower, you had to take a cup and you had to take out all like the flies, because it would just be a layer of dead flies, and you'd have to take all that out before you could take a shower. And so super disgusting. Same with like roaches. Like there were so many roaches that when you turned off the light, when you went to sleep, if you had to get up in the middle of the night to go use the restroom, you're like crunching on these things, and and then you sleep with the covers over your face, because sometimes they fall on you like from the ceiling. So it was like a super rundown area.
I can legitimately relate to that, as like just force a habit, like swatting at your face anytime you feel something, and just like full cupping because you expect a gigantic roach to be crawling up your face.
Yeah.
And now, you don't even get grossed out when it fucking actually is a roach. You're just like, you son of a bitch. You go on get.
Yeah, nothing is more terrifying than sleeping and waking up to that pattering on your face, across your face, and it's just like that's how that's how you're like, God damn it, I'm poor. Just like as a child, I remember like, God damn it, what were you so fucking poor? Like I remember if I could have voted for a Republican, I'd be like, get my little Panamanian ass to the voting booth, because God damn it, this program's not working here. This fucking food stamps and the way we're living in this trailer is not working.
Yeah, dude. Now, and for I think like I just have like an unconscious hatred for them now too, because anytime I feel any sort of creepy crawly like anywhere on me, I go to instant rage mode, and I'm just like out to destroy. And same with like actually last night, people try giving them fancy names, like I forget what their names are, water bugs, or they have like scientific names. Yeah, like palmetto bugs. Yeah, exactly. But they're huge fucking roaches. Yeah. And I had one in my bathroom last night actually, and just from that like response, instant like insta rage, just went and just smashed it with my hand. And normally I don't like crushing big bugs, but like I can't let him slide, because
I know exactly what exactly what you're feeling. Nothing makes me just friggin' go straight into rage mode. Like, God damn it. It's like that instant flashback of fucking bottom of the barrel being just fucking poor. It's like, these little motherfuckers, you're not coming to my home.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just vindictive by nature, which you'll find out why. But yeah, same thing with ants, dude. Anytime I see an anthill, I fucking destroy it, spitting it, like everything. Because I got attacked by ants when I was a little kid. So now forever, ants are on my hit list, dude. They're on my lipstick list.
Oh yeah, pee on them. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Any chance I get, dude, just whip it right out. Just fucking in front of children, don't care.
Yeah.
Just right on that now.
Come on now. It's all
45 straight to the ant nest.
That's right. So that was just the norm for us. And my grandmother was also a hoarder, and luckily she didn't hoard in the house. It was all outside, so it was in the backyard.
Oh man.
And but here's the thing though, it wasn't like just trash. It was like electronics and just a bunch of weird shit. And that made like life in that house like an adventure, because I also had like almost no supervision. And so there was just a lot of neglect. So I just really did whatever the hell I wanted. And I don't even remember going to school at that time. But I would go into the backyard like every day. That was like my adventure land, or just roam around the neighborhood. There was a gas station just down the road. I would go there and like steal food all the time, because food was also very scarce. because of so many people living in the house, and it, everyone being so poor. My mom was always at work, so I like never saw her until nighttime. And whenever the shopping would happen, they would go and they would buy like all the cereal or whatever it is. And cereal was like one of the biggest things we bought for some, I don't know why. But they would put it on the main dinner table, and it was like a free for all. So I literally like a crowd of people going to the dinner table and just grabbing whatever they could. And so like as a kid, like, with like a bunch of fully grown fucking adults doing that shit, you don't really get a whole lot from that. And so my main diet was like tortillas and butter. And when there wasn't that, if I was still...
Oh my God. Can we pause for a second?
Yeah, man.
That's one of my favorite fucking things to this day. And it sucks. No, it sucks. Like it's one of those things. Like, I swear to God, fucking 3 days ago, I was sitting there like, fuck, what do I want to eat? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Staple foods. Let's just go get some tortilla and butters. I swear. I mean, I'm not talking like don't heat it up. Nothing like that. Just fucking flour tortilla, slap some fucking butter on it, roll it up, and there's my fucking snack.
Bro,
let me just flip this around real quick and focus on the beginning of we all had jacked up childhoods, and it's hilarious. Like, I love that. I killed the roaches too. Like, yeah. All of our scars match. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I've never had so many Hispanic commonalities with a bunch of white dudes.
I was raised in Phoenix, so
my favorite was if you ever had government cheese as part of your
my God.
Food, the government cheese quesadilla roll up with butter. Mwah!
At least you had the government cheese. I didn't even fucking get that shit.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're not missing out. Because real cheese is not bright orange. It's not.
Yeah, that's a natural color, dude. That's bright orange is found in nature. So
it's natural.
Or bread, butter, and sugar. That was like the poor man's donut.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever had that.
Oh yeah.
Super good. I love that. That I'll still eat.
Is that one of those things that bothers you though? Is that like you can look back at these things now and be like, wow, like that's a poor man's snack. But at the same time, you're like, God damn, it's delicious. It's just
it's ingrained in our trash DNA.
Yeah.
There are some things like that.
In our trap DNA?
In our trash DNA.
No. I thought we all lived in trap houses. I was very excited for 2 seconds.
I lived in a rundown trailer.
Yeah, man. So some of that stuff, like I still eat, but a lot of that stuff just like, again, like I don't know, and you'll find out like as I go on the story, like like what'd you say? I used to hold a lot of anger towards like my mom and her side of the family, as well as, now like resentment with my dad and shit like that. Like that I'm all finding out about, through therapy and shit. But why I've been so angry and like always raging like 24 hours a day. So some of that shit, like I can't even look at anymore. Like tomatoes. I cannot, like, I fucking hate tomatoes. Dude, and it's because like when I didn't have enough food, like, and I was still hungry, my grandmother would grow tomatoes in the backyard. And so I would get back there and I would eat tomatoes and strawberries when they were in season. And I would just eat the tomatoes like apples. And so like now I just can't do that. And same with like guacamole. Just there's some things from my like past that like now I have like that disgust response.
I'm not trying to say we're best friends, but with tomatoes at least, not a lot of avocados that I was around when I was younger, but tomatoes I cannot touch because I was told to eat them like apples. And I cannot fucking today you put a tomato anywhere near any of my shit and I'm just like, nah. I don't have to anymore. Fuck that thing.
Yeah, but certainly not dicks because you eat those up like they're going out of season.
I mean, I've been around those since a young age too, and just some things you just can't let go of, right?
Yeah.
That dicks are like tortillas and butter. All right, they just get better over time.
Yeah,
Sometimes
sometimes
you
you
always
combine
yell no hands before you shotgun them.
them.
If you had one that I could shotgun, you'd know, Paul. You bastard.
Fucking love you.
I keep muting myself so I don't laugh over him talking, but it's like hilarious.
Oh man.
This is a really fucked up but enlightening episode, and I'm so happy to be having it. Because we could talk about how fucked up. Hey, when's the first time you guys almost drowned? Mine was at the age of 1.5.
That's actually one of the true, the only memorable memory I have of my biological father was him trying to drown me. No bullshit.
Oh, let's
like that's
change
that's
the
crazy.
subject.
No, not at all. It's like it's crazy though, right? Like so many commonalities. How nuts is that?
100%. My mom watched me at the age of 1.5 climb a fucking iron fence, which I don't believe, because how does a 1.5-year-old do that? I feel like there was foul play involved.
She hucked you over that bitch.
Yeah, apparently. No, seriously, that's what I'm thinking. Like
Oops, a baby, gadoosh.
she watched me fucking climb over this fence and dive into the pool, and then just scream for my dad to wake up, who just got off of a fucking night shift, and was passed the fuck out to come save me because she couldn't do it.
Craig, I think now we know why we have such good friendship. We were both yeeted by our parents into a pool.
I really think my mom tried to kill me. Like, I really believe that.
Attempted
Like, how does a
sacrifices to
1.5-year-old
Poseidon.
climb a fucking brick wall that's 2.5 foot by like 3 foot on the wrought iron fence that even an adult human has troubles getting over? But I apparently at 1.5 was like, nah, not a problem, dog. I'm gonna be Michael Phelps. After I climbed this wall, and I just climbed over it, no problem. Walked up to the edge of the pool and said, "Peace," and dived in.
Oh man. But now we can look back and say,
My mom tried to kill me.
I'll put everything in perspective at the end of the show. But Tim, please, before we hijack more of the story, continue.
Oh, you're good.
You
You're
got some shit, Tim.
good. Yeah. Oh, there's plenty more. So
I'm not ready.
this is something I don't think that if any of us have a commonality with this, I will fucking lose my shit. I doubt that you guys have this experience. We probably have something similar, just not as weird.
Okay.
So when I was like I was saying, I would go for the tomatoes and strawberries. Well, one day I went to go out to get tomatoes and strawberries, and those big stand-up pools with like super hard plastic walls, like probably like 4 feet tall or something.
Yeah.
Well, that was blocking off this from the side of the house, to the backyard. I'm like, what the fuck? So I climb over the backyard to go get, or the backyard, the fucking stand-up pool wall thing, and I'm walking over to where the tomatoes are, and I hear some noise, and I look over to my right where the noise is coming from, and there's 2 full-grown fucking ostriches staring at me. And I don't know if you've ever been, like, as a 6-year-old, or I think I was 7 at this time, looking in the eyes, the dead eyes of a fucking ostrich, like prehistoric looking animals. Like, it's terrifying. And those things, what's up?
I got
Can
pecked
you hear
in the
me?
head by an ostrich.
Really?
I did when I was like 8.
As a kid?
Yes. One of our fucking neighbors in Phoenix had like this stupid little ranch style backyard down an alleyway, and I walked down there, and this motherfucker had an ostrich, and I climbed up on the fence because I was excited as shit to see an ostrich, and I was like, holy fuck, we're not at the zoo, here's an ostrich. That motherfucker walked up and just fucking, he may not have pecked me, he might have just headbutt me. Either way, I got a whopping on the fucking head. Fuck ostriches. I don't like them anymore. I'm not touching ostrich.
I'm about to blow your guys' mind because when I was 7,
you have an ostrich store.
When I was 7, I was enticed
Raped by an ostrich.
to go in the back of a van, and that's when I tried heroin for the first time.
Not an ostrich, not an ostrich story, but when I was like probably 8 or 9, I had cousins
My
that
Uncle Joe.
They raised emus up in northern Michigan, and
Oh,
those things
close
were mean
enough.
as shit. Yeah. So not an ostrich, but an emu.
Close
What the
enough.
Dude, see, so now what needs to happen is instead of putting people through selection,
Anti-ostrich league.
no, you just instead of putting people through selection, just ask them about there's key points here that we all share. So get rid of all that bullshit of all the training, all that. You just got to ask them their past. You can train any monkey to shoot a gun. He just needs to have certain things that have happened in his life, like no tomatoes, or hate for tomatoes, pecked by ostriches.
Have you been sexually molested by emus?
That's right.
And have you had a tomato shoved up your ass? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, come on in, Delta Dan. Fuck.
Welcome to the Force.
Yeah. Like, oh wait, your parents didn't try drowning you? Okay, you're out. Get out of here.
Yeah.
This guy's a phony.
You suspect no foul play in your life from the fucking ages of 1 to fucking 7? Get the fuck out.
You mean your father didn't yeet you into a pool? Get the fuck out of here, son.
Your parents love you. You must be a real psychopath. Get this guy out of here before he kills somebody.
Yeah, dude.
Well, we do know the Australian Army fought emus.
There was actually the emu wars,
and they no shit lost against the emus.
They did. They're actually coming out with a movie about it.
Oh my gosh! I hope they use real emus.
I do too. We can only hope. But Tim, please continue.
Sorry, Tim.
No, you're good. I'm blown away that y'all have ostrich or emu stories. That's wild. But yeah, so
the progress I've made.
What's up?
Nothing. Continue, Tim.
Okay. All right, so I have my encounter with the ostriches. Fucking scares the shit out of me. I jump over. I have to it's so high and I'm so small that I have to jump over this wall. I have to completely go parallel to the ground to get over it. And of course, they're chasing me all the way. And it actually becomes my first addiction to adrenaline. And so because I have to brave these things every single day. And the thing is too, is and this is where the whole sociopathic part of me comes into play when it comes how I grew up. I was so angry all the time because I didn't understand what was happening and why. I was in this weird place with all these weird people and where was my dad and shit like that. It was that lack of control, right? So I had to have control over something. And because I was so angry, I wanted to hurt things. That was how I expressed my anger. So growing up as a kid, and I had no supervision. So I would find just any unfortunate creature that I could, and I'd fashion my own spears. Because one of the things I forgot to mention is when I was roaming around the neighborhood, I'd be like a little savage, roaming around hunting with a sharpened stick. And any sort of creature that I came around or came across, snakes, squirrels, cats, I would spear them. And I had this weird fascination of whether or not, bugs feel pain. And so I would, it's like that, what would you say, the stereotypical story of the sociopath that the kid that pulls the legs off of the spider and watches it wriggle. Yeah, that was me. And then that slowly became more intense. And it was I wonder if animals feel pain. Oh, it's they do feel pain and they make a lot of noise, and so there was some sort of satisfaction with that noise because it was control. And I know now it was control. I had control over someone's life or something's life because I didn't have over my own. But yeah, so I throw that little piece in there because with the ostriches, they were no different, but they were too big to stab with a stick. So I was
as you.
What's that? Yeah. Yeah, not with that attitude. But yeah, I would throw rocks at them constantly, and so we had a very agitated relationship, myself and these ostriches. So they were fucking always out to get me because I was always fucking with them. But the thing was, though, is that made it really exciting because I would have to, get over that wall and sneak into the garden to get these things, and they would always catch me. And so I would always be like running for my life, like braving the monsters to get what was mine, and jumping over. And that was like an everyday thing. So that was like my adrenaline rush for the day. To go back to the whole like hunting, I would go into or anytime I did kill an animal or a snake, I would keep its head, and I would like keep the heads in like a jar. And this is also why I know that my grandmother was crazy, because she would praise me for this thing. So it's like, oh, like hell yeah, and like put the heads up for display. And as a kid, I'm like, fuck yeah. But that is not a fucking normal thing. That is not something that a grandmother should be doing.
Good, Tim. Bring me more.
You have done well, Timothy.
Yeah.
Bring me more tribute. Yes, grandmother.
Yeah, dude, exactly like that. And also I'm throwing these like pieces of information, not to be like, oh, look how fucked up I was, but more of like to make sense of the things I'm going to tell you, like what happens in the future with the obsession and shit. And so this this evolves into experimentation. And so, I would test.
Yes, scientist Tim.
Yes. Let me put on my lab coat.
Well, it's just one of those things. I completely relate to that as you were a child, and the cycle of abuse that you're going through. You have limited to little positive interactions and no outlet. And of course, there's no guidance. There's no parental figures to give you the rights or wrong. Like, all I knew was abuse and pain growing up as a child. So you don't really understand the implications of bashing something to death out in the woods. Like, you don't understand that. Like, all you know is pain and complete, absolute, no parental figure gives two fucks about what you're doing. And in fact, sometimes they praise you for it.
I used to hunt with a bow. Like, I was not allowed to gun hunt. And I was told to get better by hunting rabbits, squirrels. I was taught to hunt with a bow. Like, not because it was the proper way to hunt, just because it was the honorable way to hunt. And a gun was for bitches. And if you wanted to take down a fucking buck or a bull elk, do it with a bow. And I was like, all right, cool. So let's go do that. And they're like, nah, you need to practice on fucking small game. Well, nobody really explained what small game was. So
if it's small,
if it's small, around. Which puppies I love. I still to this day cannot shoot a coyote. Yeah. I can't do it. But bobcats, cougars were the enemy. So therefore, their small little brethren. Fuck them. I hate cats. I hate cats, man. They're little cunts.
I love my cats.
Yeah. Back to the story now. Like, that was one thing too that I always felt a deep connection with was dogs. And that was one of the things I forgot to mention too, was that there was a lot of animals, like cats and dogs, in that household, because there was they had lots of, and mostly chihuahuas, but they had lots of dogs and cats, but there was no regulation of like how they bred. So they were just fucking puppies and kittens and stuff everywhere. But yeah, so, but I loved,
or
puppies.
Pittons.
Fucking puppies.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Finally made a connection with a puppy. It was a brown Chihuahua named Hershey, and it just like disappeared one day, And so like I'm like, someone fucking killed my dog, and come to find out, it wasn't killed; it was sold. But I was told it ran away, and during one of the times that I was like running around the neighborhood. I saw my dog, and it was like they had sold it to someone like in the neighborhood, and I was like, oh, that's my fucking dog. Like, and I ran home, and I'm like, hey, I found my dog, and they were like, and that's when I got told like, hey, well, you can't go get it because it's no longer your dog. And like, what the fuck? So like, as a kid, I like feel totally betrayed, lied to, with like the one thing that like in that time that I had like a connection with, which like we were talking about with all the neglect and stuff, that was very important to me. So to lose that and to be lied about it was very angering. And so that just fueled more of the anger and kind of like, fuck everybody like that is around me, And And we'd have like with a big Mexican family, we would have like aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff coming over the house all the time. And it was everyone was fucking thieves. So you had to like hide your belongings when family came over because they would steal your shit. And so it was just more proving to me that like no one, if your own family steals from you and you have to hide your clothes, you know, because it disappears, and then your cousin comes over the next family visit and he's wearing your fucking shirt. And you're like, yo, dude, that's my shirt. And he's like, no, I bought this. And you're like, oh, motherfucker. Like, that's just one more thing to tell you that the world just can't be trusted. You know, because that's your own flesh and blood doing that shit. Yeah. And so that was just the norm. And then finally, my mother's like, hey, we're moving. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, get us the fuck out. Oh, and by the way, one of those crazy dudes, I find out later, like, raped my sister. And and this dude like strikes me the way I remember this guy, because he's the only guy. I have really shitty memory of my childhood. There's a ton that it's just like blank. It's like it doesn't exist. And but when it comes to this guy, I see him clear as day. And he like reminds me of like a child in a grown-up's body is how he acts. So he was like crazy mentally underdeveloped. And but yeah, this dude like raped my sister, and I don't know if I knew it at the time, because like I said, there's a ton of that time in my life that's like blank, but there's a specific time that I like see in my head like clear as day, and can like remember the sound, like almost like it's like a traumatic memory, but I just only remember seeing him walking, which is from right to left, which that detail right there is going to play. So remember that man walking from right to left in a traumatic memory, because that's going to play in future for like a future trauma that actually ends up completely cascading my life into chaos. And so my mom is like, hey, we're moving. I'm like, fuck yeah, like, let's get out here. And we're moving in with like my new partner. I'm like, okay. So I don't meet this person until we're like in her house and are already moved in. And now my mom has decided that she's going to be a lesbian. And so we move in with her lesbian lover. And and so I don't hold any grudge against her, because her name was Cindy, or her name is Cindy. She's awesome. She was like what would be considered my father figure in those days, which come to find out that if you're in a lesbian household as a male, and there's two ways you can go. You'll either become hypermasculine or hyperfeminine. And I went the hypermasculine route. And so like that, I was going to say, hypermasculine route. So those years were pretty good. But this is where the obsession and perfection comes in, because my mother was like, she wasn't like a very like loving person. She was very angry herself, I'm sure. And just because of the relationship with my father and things like that. And so she just demanded perfection out of me at all times. And when it came to performance. And the thing was, there was a very uneven treatment of myself and my sister. So for me, it was like I had to be perfect. For my sister, it was like, you could fuck off and do whatever you want. I don't care. You know, so she was like flunking out of school, and like, as we grew up, she was just getting into worse and worse like groups. And then I was like the star student and shit. And this is where it got kind of crazy when it came to the perfectionism thing. Like any time that I got a C on like an assignment, I was grounded, right? But this grounding wasn't like your normal grounding. It was like, obviously no TV, no nothing, like nothing fun. You're staying in your room, but the only time you can come out of the room is to use the restroom and go to school. Like, so I had to eat my meals in my room. My sister wasn't allowed in the room. I wasn't allowed to join the family. So it was like isolation. And my sister wasn't allowed to talk to me until my grounding was up. And so just imagine if you get consecutive C's on something, like you're in isolation for like a while. You know, so
yeah.
Now I was getting attention, but it was like too much attention, and it was about perfection. And of course I was still super angry from, earlier in my childhood, still not understanding what happened with my father. I haven't seen him yet, or been able to visit him or anything. And so finally, behind the scenes, my father's parents are pretty well off. They threatened my mom with like legal action, like, hey, if you don't let our son see his kids, like, we're going to make you poorer than you are already. And so she had to acquiesce to that request. And so it first started off where I was seeing my father like a weekend out of the year, and progressively every year it became longer and longer until I ended up spending the summer with him. Well, now when I would go over to my father's place, the uneven treatment reversed. So it was not like the over perfectioning. It was, you're the like bee's knees and you're everything that I've ever wanted in like a kid to me, from my father. And then my father didn't really, he loved my sister, but he didn't really give her too much attention. So I have never experienced this, so I'm like, wow, like this is fucking awesome. Like I love my dad, like he's like my best friend. And the thing is like every single night we would go out into the carport and we would talk, or I would listen and he would talk. This is where it started getting, my life's mission was about to be planned and I didn't know it. So in these talks, he was telling me everything. I became his emotional sounding board. So for me, it's great because I'm needed. I'm getting attention. I'm being loved. What I don't realize is that I am way too fucking young to be hearing the things that I'm hearing. And what he's telling me is about essentially like how his like life has like crumbled and gone into shambles. And so like why he became an alcoholic. And by the way, I'm like 9. And because he is giving me so much attention, he's a god to me. So like if he told me that the sky was purple, I would look up at the sky and be like, man, something's wrong with my eyes because I see blue. Like that was like the follower mentality I had with my father. So, he's telling me like, hey, we had like a good life. Then your sister was born, and I had.
She fucked it all up, son.
Yeah. He's like, then I had to work 2 jobs. I was exhausted. I had no time. Like the only thing I could do was drink. That was the only thing that like calmed me down. Pretty much saying like, hey, your mom like turned into a total bitch, and like all I could do was drink about it. And then so he used to work for counter recorders, and so he had a government job. He worked for the state, and he was like in HR essentially. And he got wind that the state was not, or this particular office was not allowing people to use their vacation time. And so that's obviously against the law. So he built a case against them, took them to some sort of court system, whatever, and won for the people, type thing in his office. And so he got the higher echelon, or their higher, would you say, bosses or whatever, rank structure, like in trouble. And so, but they weren't fired. And so they started putting a crazy amount of pressure on my father. And he ended up having a nervous breakdown. And all the people that had helped him, or that he had helped, kind of like turned backs, or that's how he's portraying this to me. What I don't know at this time, and he doesn't know either, is that he is bipolar, and he's also a parent schizophrenic. So when knowing what I know now and viewing that story through the lens that I have now, I don't know how bad it actually was, like in reality, but all I know is it was bad enough where he had a nervous breakdown and was going to kill the 6 people that were on this board that he had got in trouble and then like ruined his life.
Holy
and
fuck.
And he was going to do death by suicide. And so he's telling me all of this, and he tells me his plan. He like talks about the rifle like in great detail. And tells me exactly how he wanted to do it, about, coming in and like shooting them in their kneecaps, like watching them bleed, like the type of, and dude, the anger that he was like expressing during these talks was like palpable. Like I can feel my chest tightening just thinking about it, because it's like it like sucks you in. And as such an impressionable kid, I started taking that anger on, his anger, as my own. And yeah, because it was like all the suffering I went through, all the bullshit that didn't make any sense is making sense now. It's because of these motherfuckers
people,
that
Yep.
like, and the thing is like the angel that is my father has suffered so, and these, and here's the thing, he was going to do this. His friend found out about it, told his parents, and his parents like took the rifle away and all this stuff. And this is also partly the reason why he went to this the psych ward. So and why like the whole separation, or part of why the whole separation happened and all this. And so what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so these, and in my mind, I'm like, not only are they the reason why all the suffering is happening, and all the suffering to the one person that has given me like attention and made me feel important, like these motherfuckers are still alive. And I was like, at age 10, I told myself, like, I'm going to kill these people. Like, this is now my life's mission. And so I'm pretty sure that, I mean, obviously I had already had psychological issues as a kid with what I was doing, with animals and stuff like that. So I am assuming that there was something that had developed when it came to the obsession, because I lived to hurt things at that time. And now I had focus. That at that time it was just a chaotic rage, but now I had targets.
You had direction. This all came. It was like a perfect storm of horrible events are now like giving this young little Tim like the direction, drives, like all this shit happened to me, and these motherfuckers are the ones responsible. And it's like initiate montage of dedication, commitment, and just fully absorbed as a 10-year-old child.
Oh, dude, you have no idea, man. Like it was like I fed off of revenge stories. Like any sort of cartoon, any sort of movie, anything that had anything to do with revenge, it was like it fueled me. Like it fed my anger. And I was continuing to have these talks with my father, which only made it worse. And the thing is like I said, my father also has a lot of like diagnosable conditions. And and his rage was just, it's hard to even describe. Like when he would, I'd be in the car with him. When he would, someone would cut him off, the road rage that he would have was just absolutely insane. He's the guy that literally follows you to your house, pulls into your driveway and sits there and watches you go into your house. Like he's like fucking and has done this with me in the car. And the whole time he's like gritting his teeth, like growling and like muttering, like just rage, like statements. Like, I don't know what you would say, how you would call that. But like, so I learned very quickly, like as like a 10-year-old, like that, this is and everything that had led up to that point, it all made sense that this is how you deal with people. And rage is the proper response. Like, because the thing is when I was a kid, like in that whole isolation stuff, like obviously like that sucked. So I would like cry about it. And the thing was, I was met with silence. So I learned from a very early age that crying was worthless. And now I'm learning that rage is power. Rage is everything. And I already feel so much of it that it's like, now I know, like now I have the answers. I'm finally understanding what I'm supposed to do. And and like I said, I'm being fueled by the only thing that, because my father didn't teach me anything like outside of just rage. So I was learning everything I thought I needed to know to commit these murders through movies and through, like when you go to like a third world country to go train, and the only knowledge they have is through Hollywood. And they want, when I was in Indonesia, they were like, can you teach us the silent kill? And I was like, what is that? And they're like sentry takedown. I was like, we don't do that, dude. He's like, what? you don't do the silent kill. I'm like, no. Come to find out, though, I don't know if you guys have been to Lone Operator, but the course Lone Operator, but they fucking teach you how to do it. Because I was and later in that time, I was like, that doesn't exist, and then later I find out, oh fuck, this is a thing. Like, oh shit. Not that I ever want to do that, because yeah, if you're ever in the situation where you're taking down sentries with a knife, like something has gone terribly fucking wrong. But or you're in a badass 80s movie and everything's terribly right.
With a sick musical montage leading up to it.
That's right. Yeah, the frills on your jean jacket, and you're like, what are those fucking the sunglasses that I drew your character with, the Vipers. There you go.
The pit Vipers, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta have.
But yes, yeah, yeah. I gotta find my pit Vipers now so I can wear them while I talk to you about my revenge story.
Vipers.
Yeah.
So good. So
They're
good.
called Clit Vipers.
Yeah.
Oh. So yes, now take us through the older teenage years.
Yeah. So also or obviously angry teenager, just like every teenager, but a little bit more angry than normal.
Mm-hmm.
And with a secret, like because the thing is that a lot of my closest friends like still don't know that like what I was up to during those times. And the thing is also one of the lessons I was taught, and it wasn't necessarily phrased this way, but this was what I gathered from it. The phrase I'm about to tell you is actually a buddy that told me that one of his seniors told him this, and I was like, holy shit, like I was brought up the same way. But you should kill something every single day to harden your heart, no matter how small it is. If it's an ant, you kill it. You have to get 1 kill a day to continue and to harden your heart and then maintain that hard heart. And so and I really believe that coming up. And and I forgot to say too, like I had a very cliche moment when I was 10, when the moment I decided that these people were going to die. I had a ace of spades, and I very much had a lipstick list, only it wasn't lipstick, it was blood. I cut my wrist on the outside, not like the emo side, but the metal side.
The metal side. Brutal.
Yeah, brutal. Yeah, so, and then I took that blood and I wrote their names, because my father obviously told them the names, because I told him I was going to kill these people, and he fucking congratulated me, or what was that? Praised me for that. And so what I did was I wrote their names in my own blood on this card, and kept the card with me everywhere. Went to my dad and told him that's what I did, and was like, do you want the scar too? Like, this is like a vow, not, very intense for a fucking 10-year-old, but I was like, this is a vow that I'm making. I want you to be a part of this. And so he was down for it. So he has the same scar I do. And actually the sleeve that I have, there's where that scar is, there's a bind rune that I had there tattooed, which the bind rune is like Icelandic magic, and it's supposedly supposed to help me with memory, so I never forget. So I got that when I was still like planning on killing these people, because I didn't want to forget their names. And so I kept this card with me everywhere, and I'll tell you what happened to the card later. But so I'm a teenager, and the thing was, what I've come to learn now, when you immerse yourself like to an obsessive level in a skill set or a task, it's actually the flight response. Because what you're doing is like you're in that like the zone, or I don't know if you guys know the zone of proximal development. So so Jordan Peterson describes this as having like equal footing in order and chaos. And so like you're doing something that you're somewhat familiar with, but you're pushing yourself just far enough within the bounds of like the unknown. That it is exciting. And that's the zone of proximate development, or being in the zone, is when, obviously time flies when you're having fun type thing. It feels like 5 minutes, but it's been 10 hours since whatever task you're doing. But it completely absorbs you, and so everything else melts away. All the rage melts away. All the hardship from the past, all that other bullshit, it all melts away. Only the tasks exist. And so what I didn't realize is I obviously, like, because that's all I knew, but I was inside. I was like craving peace, and I was craving some sort of reprieve. And so, and I'd always drawn, but drawing never really became an obsession of mine, but guitar did. And that happened in high school. And I picked up a guitar and was like, wow, like, holy crap, like this is what gives me peace, at least for while I'm playing it. So that's all I did, like all day. I never ditched class, but I never was really there because I was always in the back of class playing guitar. And it was like
obsessed with it. It was that's all you had.
Yeah, no, seriously. And the thing was I was smart enough though, where I didn't really have to pay attention in class. Like when I first went to high school, I was in like all the IP classes, and actually when I was in 9th grade, they put me in 10th grade AP English, and until like I just didn't give a shit enough to where they obviously I was just failing everything because I was just playing guitar. That I ended up in like regular classes. And then it was just a piece of cake. I was just playing guitar in the back and still, passing all the tests and stuff, even though I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, that's all I did. And my wife now was my girlfriend at the time. I've been with her since middle school. So it's been like 20 years now that I've been with her. And at this time, it was long distance relationship. And I was so obsessed with guitar that I just because we would talk every day on the phone. I just stopped talking to her for an entire year. I just disappeared. I didn't tell her why. I just disappeared. And because I was too busy. She was a distraction. Guitar was the thing that I had to do. I felt it in my bones. There was no other choice. And that's how I felt. And it was because I was running away from all the rage. And I know that now. But this became a portion of my personality that I developed, was this flight response to all the bullshit that was like floating around in my head. Because what ended up happening over time was the rage was so uncontrollable that I would get these like essentially anxiety attacks. It was like a pressure in my chest that felt like I was going to explode, like super shallow breathing, shit like that. Yep. The only thing that could release that pressure was hurting something. And so I would have to find something to hurt. And the thing was I was on a path to murder 6 people. I knew that I had to have a hard heart. And so I knew I had to kill something every day. Anyways, that's like kind of sums up my teenage years up until I get, I'm living with my grandparents, by the way, because my father he's mentally handicapped and physically handicapped. So he was living with his parents. So I was living with him with his parents at this time. Because one of the things I kind of skipped was, after obviously all the visitations, I became 13, and that's when I got to decide who I was going to live with. And of course, the easy decision was like, I'm going to go live with a dude that gives me attention. So yeah. So I went and lived with my father. So, and then that was the high school years. But my grandfather, was a retired fighter pilot in the Navy. He looks at me as like, because I was like a spitting image of like your 80s thrasher. Like I had long hair that was down to my shoulders. I wear like holy jeans, like all black, like, but not like emo or not like goth or something like that. Yeah, like the chain wallet and shit.
Yeah.
And what's it called? So he did not like that because he was from the military background, and he was an officer, so he was very, very conventional. It's kind of funny, when I joined the Marine Corps, we got along initially. We got along really well until I got into stuff and was like, yeah, like, I don't like following your rules, old man. Like, that's very conventional of you. Like, but anyways, like, but he hands me the phone. He's like, hey, it's one of your friends. And this whole time too, I'm asking myself, like, I need, like, yes, I'm hardening my heart, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I need to be trained. Like, how am I going to do that? And he hands me the phone, says it's one of my friends. I'm like, hello? And it's a Marine Corps recruiter. And he's like, hey, you want to come talk to me? Like, we're joining the Marine Corps? I'm not even connecting the dots at this moment. I'm one of my things is like common courtesy. So I'm always very polite to as much as I can. Wait, did I just lose you guys?
No, we're here.
Oh,
Got
okay.
me.
So see, I'm as polite as I can be, and so I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll talk to you, not knowing how crazy recruiters can be, because he's like, all right, sweet, I'll be over your house in like 15 minutes. I was like,
It's
oh fuck,
what the fuck?
yeah. So he comes over, I talk to him, and then that's where I connect the dots, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is where I'm going to learn how to kill is the Marine Corps, and this is in 2004, I think, 2003. Because I was in the DEP program for like 6 months before I graduated. And so, yeah,
It's the perfect way to learn.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this is in 2003, and they had what was called a contract recon. And that didn't mean you're going to be recon. It just meant you're going to go in as an O3 or as an infantry, and you would be given a chance to take the indoc. And I was like, fuck yeah, like, like that sounds awesome. And so I was like, let's do that. And so I'm filling out all the paperwork. Now, this is where my whole being a teenager came into play, because I lost focus. Because my girlfriend then, freaked out, because this was like, dude, the war was like in full swing. And I just told her that I was going to go active duty and go as recon. And when I explained to her what that was, she like fucking freaked. And so, like an idiot, well, maybe not, because I'd probably not be here today if I went recon. But I went reserve so that I could go and move closer to her. And then I went with, because I was pretty smart. I scored really well in that ASVAB. I went as like a computer network specialist, which, by the way, I fucking hated, which is why obviously I went MARSOC. But so that I ended up becoming a reservist and going to Colorado. So I joined the Marine Corps, go to Colorado as a reservist. And funny story there, just being like a total boot, like prior to going to Colorado, I was riding with my dad because I didn't have a car. So my dad had to take me to this is my first drill. And I forget where this was. I know the unit was MAG 48, but I don't remember where that was. Somewhere in California, down south. And because we're going south on 5, I fall asleep and I'm in my alphas, which is like the uniform you have to check in. And I fall asleep. I wake up and he's like, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "We're in Mexico." I was like, "What?" Like, "What do you mean we're in Mexico?" We were coming up to the border as I woke up, and he told me that. And I'm in uniform. So the Mexican border guy is like, "Oh, you got bullets? You got guns?" And I'm like, "No, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here." And so like we have to go into Mexico, turn around, come through the border. So, and this takes forever. So I'm supposed to check in. So I'm fucking super late. And they're like, "What the hell happened?" And I'm like, "I was in Mexico." And they're like, how'd that happen? I was like, "I don't know." They're like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "New day, fucking boo." And I'm like, "Oh," like I'm just like a scared private at the time. Or no, I was a PFC, I think. But yeah, and so it gets even worse. My second day going to drill, prior to leaving my MOS school, they gave me like this big ass bag of camis because they're like, "Oh, hey, these are all the people that got like medically discharged or whatever, or admin sept. Like, we have all these extra camis. You want them?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, free stuff." So I took them. Well, I didn't realize that it had like, I mixed everything up. So I show up to my second day after having been late because I was in Mexico with the wrong fucking name tapes on my camis, and I don't know this. So I'm going around. I'm introducing myself as PFC Molesky. People keep giving me this weird ass look.
It says right now, though.
Yeah, exactly. And I have no idea. And finally, I'm like, "Hey, I'm PFC Molesky." And they're like, "Then whose camis are those?" And I look down. And I'm like, "Oh my god." I'm like, "Oh," they're like, "Okay, motherfucker. First you're late because you're in Mexico. Now you're wearing the wrong fucking camis. The hell's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know." I don't know what to do with my hands, But so luckily I only spent one drill there. Thank fucking God. And then I went to Colorado because that's the nice thing about the reserves. You can just live wherever the hell you want. They like have to give you a duty. So I'm serving in Colorado. The thing is, though, is I absolutely fucking hate my job. I hate comm stuff. I hate computers. Like, it's like I'm not like, even though I have a decent intelligence, I don't like really doing nerd stuff like that. And so I was like, I wanted to be recon. Like I wanted to go and kick in doors. Like this is not what I wanted to do. And so then I find out like the unit's going to Ramadi. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like put me on the list. But I had just got there. So I put my name on the list to go to Ramadi, and then I'm off the list because like one of the more senior guys gets on the list. And then I'm on the list because now someone didn't want to go. And this goes on like for like 2 months, on the list, off the list, on the list, off the list. Finally, they're getting ready to leave, and they're like, you're off the list. I'm like, fuck. No. So, so I was super pissed. So I don't get to go to Ramadi, and I'm just putting my name in everything. And then I find out that as a reservist, you can submit your name to anywhere as an individual augmentee. So, because I'm like, I need to get the fuck out. I need to go and kill people, So I'm like just submitting my name everywhere. But I'm
need some killing somewhere.
yeah. I'm like, dude, there's a full blown war going on. Like, how the fuck can't I go over there and kill? And so I'm like, I'm gonna make sure I do. But the thing is, I'm a PFC and I'm a comm guy, and that's the thing. Even though you submit your name, it doesn't mean they have to take you. You have to be filling a billet that like makes sense. I'm submitting my name to all these O3 billets, and they're like, "Fuck no! Like, why are we going to take this like PC that has no experience and he's a data networker? So no infantry unit's going to do that." But finally, someone accepted me, and it was for an infantry billet, but it was for provisional security, and it was another reserve unit that was going. And so they were like, all right, come on down. And I'm like, all right, fuck yeah. And it was Africa. And this was to Djibouti. And what I didn't know that it wasn't a kinetic area for like conventional forces. But because there was a lot of shit going, not so much in Djibouti, but in Somalia. Because when I was there during provisional security, there was all these like there's specific placards, and now knowing what I know, they were CIA, and then there was also vehicles we couldn't stop that were SEALs. So SEALs and CIA were constantly coming in of Camp Lemonnier, and I found out from Somalia, and so they were using, because Camp Lemonnier is a joint task force base, and they were using that for whatever operations they were doing in the area, but. Anyways, like I was 100% convinced because I didn't understand that you could go to a combat zone and not see combat. I thought it was if it was a combat zone, like shit's going down there. And so they're like, yeah, it's a combat zone. Like you're going to go as provisional security, which means you're going to be an 0311 rifleman. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like this is what I wanted. And so I go on this deployment. We have like a 4-week workup, which if you think about now, like our workups are like a year long or something. Like I had 4 weeks, and we were like clearing rooms and stuff like in the barracks. Like that was our training. And so I go to, that should have tipped me off that we weren't going to be doing anything. But I'm on the plane. We have our rifles in our hands, no ammo, but our rifles. And the sergeant major is on the plane. He's like, hey, we're landing in a hot LZ. And I don't know if he was just fucking around or if he was like actually serious, but I took him very seriously because I was like, I'm here to fuck shit up. And that's what we're doing, right? And I didn't know any better, So, I'm like, oh my God, like we're going to be taking fire. Like this is going to be fucking crazy. And obviously that didn't happen. We land. I get out of the plane, having just been at fucking from Colorado to North Carolina, where our workup was, where it snowed, which is very rare for North Carolina, but it snowed there, to Africa, Northeast Africa. Like getting out of the plane, dude, it felt like hell itself just blew me right in the fucking face. I was like, oh my God. Like, what is this? Like, am I behind fucking engine? No, that's just the wind, dude. It's like, fuck. And so like we get shown the post and stuff like that, and it's close to winter time also, and we're still fucking dying. And so and this kind of brings me to actually, because I got diagnosed with PTSD at Laurel Ridge, and it's because of what happened on this deployment. And it wasn't combat related. That's the thing. Well, no, it's not. It's not combat related, like we got it or something. But it was just something that, like I said, remember that detail that I had foreshadowed in the beginning with that dude walking right to left. there was a bunch of small details that I find out later that would make this event so profound to me. And so, we go about our business. And dude, I'm so glad we didn't see combat. I was so upset. I was very, very bitter after that deployment because nothing happened. But looking back at it now, like knowing what I know about mission planning and operations and shit, like, dude, we had no fucking idea what we were doing. Like, dude, I would go on patrols and there was no mission brief. There was no PCIs. It was literally like, grab what you think you need and be in the QRF lot. And then I'd be there and we'd be issued ammo. And then it was like, all right, get in the truck. And then we'd like, I'd get in the Humvee and I'd be in the back of this, like the open style Humvee. Can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
The what?
The just the open back.
Yeah. And up armored, we at least had armor Humvees, which also lended to the illusion that shit was going down. But and then we would drive somewhere. I have no idea where we're going. I have no idea how to get back if something happened. Then we'd stop, be like, all right, get out of the truck, or get a tactical column and walk that way. And so I would just be following the person in front. And for me, I'm just looking for someone to shoot. So I'm not complaining, because I'm just like, as long as I stay in this line, I can look around, and if someone pops their head and has a weapon, I can kill him. And fuck yeah. And then
that's all young Tim is worried about. It's like, point me to where I can get an engagement.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that ruled my life forever, man. You have no idea. But so, yeah, and then we'd be like walking, and we'd come because our one of the things that we were doing was we're looking for weapons caches during that deployment, and there was reports that the Somalis were hiding weapons and stuff like that in Djibouti, because Djibouti it was part of their law where you couldn't be armed as a civilian. But so we were looking to make sure that wasn't happening, and so we'd find like cave systems there, and then we'd have to clear the cave system. Which, knowing what I know about CQB, like going into which we didn't even explore the entire cave system, but it was just me and one other dude that was sent into the cave. Which, when nods work on ambient light, right? So like the first room, we're good. We go into the next room, can't see anything.
Shit.
Yeah, nothing. And so in this particular cave, I didn't want to look like pussy. Dude, that's another thing we need to talk about is how many times you've either almost died or almost been horribly fucking injured for the fact that you didn't want to say anything because you didn't want to look like a pussy. And everyone's thinking the same thing, but we're all thinking like, fuck, we shouldn't be doing this. But I'm in the cave system. Both of us don't say anything. We can't see anything. We're like hugging the walls and touching the walls and shit. Like feeling our way going deeper into this like little cave. I don't even know what it was. I just call it cave system, but I don't know if that's accurately describing it. But I'm in this far deep room, and even though it's like completely dark, I can almost swear I see the wall moving, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it was me and this dude, Corporal Pug, and I'm like, hey Pug, like, check, what is that? And he's like, I don't know. And so we get a little bit closer, and then he just white lights it, and which scares the shit out of me because I was too afraid to do it. I didn't want to because I'm thinking like there's like enemy in here, like I'm not gonna give away my position.
Fuck it, no white light.
Yeah, dude, just straight, didn't tell me nothing, just white light. Well, it turned out that it was a wall full of fucking bats, so it was moving. And dude, straight out of a movie, man. Like bats flying fucking everywhere, hitting us in the face, and we're screaming.
We gotta get out of here, Corporal. We're in backcountry.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, seriously. And like we're running out of the cave, like screaming. And of course, like the fire team that was with us, because we had split off from the main patrol because the dudes had to stay with the trucks, and then we went on like a dismounted portion. And so there was only two fire teams with us. One fire, or they were both pulling like a half a 180 security for the entrance of the cave, and then they sent fucking two of us in there. We like run out, and they like a fire team worth of dudes like start running towards us, like, oh shit, what's going on? And we're like, fucking bats. And they're like, oh, what the fuck? and then we like get back into an active column, go back to the trucks and go back. And that was like mission. And I was like, that's fucking bullshit. I'm so mad. But,
you've robbed me of my legacy.
yeah, oh yeah. But the thing is like on that patrol, and I'm telling you this one for a reason too. So on that patrol, when we initially got out, dude, my body went through that same exact response as I had when I was going to stab that dude with the spear. Yeah. My body like felt like 1,000,000 pounds. Dude, I felt like I couldn't keep up with everyone. I was like, how is everyone walking so fast? And the thing is we didn't have rucks or anything. It was just in kit with like full combat load and an M16 because we didn't have M4s back then. And so like I'm like, dude, I cannot fucking keep up. I was like, and knowing now what I know is like I was having like a full blown panic attack, essentially. Like not even knowing it.
It was definitely the M16. That's what was waiting. The M16 was waiting.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it was with the ACOG, the stupid thing. I hate this optics. But yeah, so but so that response that I had, and the fact that I felt like I was doing like a real mission, it lended to me being like, oh fuck, it didn't happen today, but it's gonna happen at some point. And so the next day, I still have that like feeling, you know. And so I'm on post, and which by the way, like during this time I was NJP twice. I don't know what that is for you guys, but like USM or was it UCMJ? Yeah. So I had been NJP twice by this time. Was getting fucking hazed like you wouldn't believe because like my NJPs happened on deployment. So it was just fucking me up like every chance I could get. And so finally I wasn't being fucked with. And I was on post that next day, and we were overlooking the main entrance, the main like entry point or the entry checkpoint, the ECP. And it was a machine gun position, like support by fire position for the entry point. And the thing is there was like maybe like 30 meters from that entry point, there was a main MSR. And beyond that, about another 20 meters, so 50 meters in total from the ECP is like there was like these corrugated steel shacks. And there was a bunch of like civilians and stuff, and they like roamed around and they kind of like lived out there, which when I was on post, I'm always like, dude, everyone has like tons of pictures of putting crosshairs on people's faces and taking pictures through your scope and being like, hey, look how fucking awesome I am. You know, like, fucking stupid. But
American Warrior.
Yeah, that's cool. Combat zone. But there was this sign on the post, and it said "Complacency kills." And later, by the end of the deployment, it would say "Complacency kills time." But in that moment, dude, I was totally like all about that. Like, I will not be that guy that gets like some killed or I die because I'm not fucking paying attention. So I was like the most vigilant dude you would meet on post. Just like probably too vigilant. So I was like looking for someone to shoot, you know, like give me it. Like I wish a motherfucker would, you know, that deal. And so I'm observing out, and this is where my memory is like, there's a piece of this event that I'm missing because I look down for something, and I hear this like wail, dude, like from a child. Like a scream, like I can't even describe it. It's just a certain frequency that you know something is fucking wrong. Yeah. And I look up, and it's this dude, this African military age male. It's probably like 5. He's around my height. He's wearing white pants that are super dirty. He's wearing a like a pinkish shirt with like dark trim, and it's like super tattered. And he's dragging this. Essentially a baby, because he's old enough, he's like large enough to be drugged, and like trying to walk. He's like 1 year old, but he can't keep up with guy that's obviously an adult and like walking at normal pace. And so he's like screaming, and he's like being essentially drugged through the dirt. And like I don't know if you guys have been to Northern Africa or Northeast Africa, but it's like more deserty. So there's like just a bunch of sand and like rocks and shit. It's not like a jungle or whatever like most people think Africa is. And so he's like being drugged through like the rocks, and he's just like screaming. And I'm watching this like, holy fuck! Like, and at first it takes me by surprise, so I don't like quite know what to do, like what to think. And that's when I was gonna say, oh, you could tell, like I see his face, and like through therapy, it's like because I can see his face very clearly. And actually, in the past, I didn't remember his face. It wasn't until I was going through therapy that detail rushed in. And I was at Laurel Ridge. I'm in therapy. I'm talking about the story just like I'm talking to you. Like I had gotten to the point where I could talk about the story without like going into fight mode and being like enraged. And I got through it. But I was like, oh shit, I remember the guy's face. Well, what I didn't realize was that had a really massive effect on me, and I just didn't know. And so I went through like a class after that therapy session, and then we went into the war room. And in the war room, that's where like people will share like their wartime trauma. I'm listening to someone's story, and all of a sudden, like I'm feeling super weird, and I can't quite explain it. And then all of a sudden, I feel like I can't move, and like the same thing, like super shallow breathing, feeling like 1,000,000 pounds, like I'm like having a panic attack and I don't know what to do. But the thing is, I don't like, this is not my time. Like this is the dude that's sharing his time. And so I'm like spiraling, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to interrupt his story. And I'm like, okay, I just need to fucking chill. I just need to like handle this until I can say something, until it's my time to talk. And the thing was, like, we're going to share, like, you have to like give feedback to the person after the fact. And people are giving feedback and like, fuck, like I don't think I'm gonna make it. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And finally we go to where we're going around the room to see how people are doing. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna pass out. And so they finally and dude, my body was absolutely just flipping out and had no idea what was going on. I was like crying, but I didn't know why. Like it was super fucking weird. And so crazy response. But I say all that to say, like, now I see his face like super clearly. And the look that this guy has is of straight annoyance. Like, I can't believe I have to deal with this shit again. And because like I said, he's holding the kid by the arm. The kid is like, if you imagine, like as he's being drugged, he's kind of like flailing, like 'cause he's only being held by a single point of what would you say? Or I guess just a single point. So he's like kind of rotating as well. And so he turns around. He's holding him with his left hand. He turns around. His right hand's free. He's looking at him as like the way I describe it in my journal is like he's he like after a long flight, he's like dragging his luggage. You know that, and that's exactly what he's doing. He looks at the kid like, fuck, I can't believe I got to deal with this. And he just starts wailing on this kid, like closed fist, hammer fist, punches, whatever he can do. And you know, like if you're TV and like someone has like their foot or something like outside of like where you can shoot him, you shoot him in the foot and you walk it up his leg as he falls out and into his body. Like he essentially does that same shit, only with the fucking kid and with his fist. So he's like hitting him in the arm. And as he's just wailing, he's just pulling him into the punches, essentially. And this, like I said, this is a 1-year-old child. So eventually, the kid's like squealing and stuff as he's being hit. And eventually, the kid goes quiet, and he completely goes limp because I don't know if he's fucking dead or if he's just knocked out or what. And the dude, like, obviously he stopped. And by the way, he's moving from right to left. So there was like there was a key thing that happened there that what's it called? Because the guy that was carrying him looked very similar to the guy that is in my memory. Like had a lot of the same features as far as like the same haircut, the same demeanor or gait, or what would you say? Like the way he walked?
Yeah, the way he walked, the gait, yeah.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of similarities, and I learned later that that's why it was like it's so that portion of the memory is so prominent in my head. Yeah. But the kid goes limp because he stopped while he was like beating the kid, and then the kid's all like bloody already from and scraped up and like you know how like when blood like dirt gets on blood, it's like mud kind of, but you can still tell it's blood. It's like the same thing, but it's like on his leg or all over his ass and his leg and stuff. And the thing is too is now the kid is limp, so he's not trying to like hop along and keep up. Now his like privates are being drugged through the dirt and the rocks and shit like that, and the guy just continues walking as if nothing happened. And there's locals in the area too, and no one's doing anything. Like it's just like a regular fucking everyday occurrence.
Another Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, and the thing is like we were told from before even going there that you're not to intervene with the locals. Like you can't. It's not our job to stop like what they do. So unless they're threatening the base, because this was technically outside the base, and I'm on post, I can't do anything. But now I'm going to describe like what I was going through physically, like while I'm watching this, because as he's like beating the kid, my body, I'm literally walking in place, like on post, but I don't know what to do. And later I find out that like I'm confused because I'm feeling rage, confusion, like sadness, like, and the reason why I'm feeling confused is because my whole life has been to harden my heart to kill 6 people. And I'm seeing like evil happening right in front of me, and it's bothering me. Why is it bothering me?
It's that now you're realizing, holy shit, I have a heart, I have emotions, I have feelings, and everything that I've told myself I needed to be is complete the opposite of what I'm experiencing.
Exactly. Like what is going on? Like I don't understand. Like, and I'm trying to push those feelings away because I'm like, I'm being a pussy right now. Like, stop caring. You need to be a monster. You this is not you. Let it be. Like, don't care about this shit. And that's the reason why this ad actually plagued me for so long, and I had no idea because I had just chalked it up as me being a pussy, and I just moved on. And so, go ahead.
And then that's a common thread for a lot of people. You see the worst in these far off places that we go, Afghanistan, Iraq. You see the treatment, and people react to it in a couple ways. There's always the kids that, or guys, can't call them kids. We were kids when we did it, but the way the macho instinct is to laugh at it, to cope with it, and to push it away as not really affecting you. But then inside, everybody goes away to their own place. At the end of the day, everybody deals with it a little bit different. But 100% of the people I talk to, all the violence you see, all the pain you see that's being caused to children and women, you have to outwardly project like it's no big deal. You're indifferent. You're laughing at it. But inside, all you want to do is be able to stop it, save these kids, save these people, and be a protector. And that's a testament to you, Tim, is understanding that you're not this evil, hateful person that was given this purpose, this idea that he had to be a tool of retribution.
Mm-hmm.
You're a kind, warm-hearted individual, and having to see that trauma was so fucking impactful. That's why it's such an index event for you, because you're not a bad person to your core. You're not a machine that was meticulously prepped to be a killer. You were a child. You were someone that was subjected to a lot of pain. And at that point in time, it's like the machine is not computing, not vibing with the fact that it's so painful to watch this. So hurtful.
Yeah, and again, it's that helplessness. It's I am seeing this happen. Everything in my body is screaming for me. Because here's the thing, like when I describe like what I wanted to do, I have a 240 right next to me. There's not a single thought in my mind that goes through my head in that moment to shoot him. Everything is telling me to jump outside of the post, run across the street, and strangle him with my own bare hands. Like, and everything is screaming in my. That's why I'm walking in place, because it's just like, go fucking stop this. And I'm like, no, like you should, why are you caring? Like, stop being fucking pussy, type deal. And then obviously I'm afraid of getting in trouble as well. So there's, and what the ramifications of those actions can be and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so I chalk it up as, hey, it's just me being a pussy. I need to move on. And I actually just completely forget about it. But so I was going to say, so fast forward so before I get to that, just remember that, because there's a small portion that I'll need to get into, like how I got into soft. Because now being in that deployment goes on, I don't see anything, and I'm like still very angry. And I'm like, I need to do something different, because I'm still submitting my name to go on different deployments. Now I'm submitting my name to go to Afghanistan instead of Iraq, because I'm like, no one's taking me, so I need to go there then. And I'm also, since on that deployment, that Africa deployment, I remember, because you're on. I don't know if you guys have stood post like on a deployment, but eventually you get to the point where there's like just fucking nothing to talk. You've talked about everything, and so you just like sit there quietly. And one of the nights, I was just sitting there staring into the darkness, and this Gonzo was sitting right next to me, and just the only thing I said that night was, I'm gonna go recon. He's like, awesome. And that was the only thing we said all night. And from that moment, because I was so obsessive, because I knew, like, same with guitar, I just felt it in my bones, like I had to do this. This was the path for me. There was nothing else. It was either recon or death, that type of deal. And so, I, after that deployment, I'm submitting my name to go to Afghanistan, as well as trying to put in paperwork to go to an indoc for recon. And they're just dicking around with me, because I'm a PFC. I was going to get promoted to corporal while I was deployed, and then got NJP'd. So instead of going to E4, I went back to E2. And so I'm a PFC. Yeah. And that I was NJP twice too. So like that didn't help. But so I'm a PFC that has only one deployment. So recon is just dicking around with me. And they're like, oh, yeah, go call. You need to talk to our S1. So I talked to S1. It takes like a week to get a hold of them, of course. And I'm like, hey, like I set up an indoc, or can I come to the next indoc or whatever? And they're like, oh, you don't want to talk to us. This is first recon. You want to talk second recon. And they just dicked around with me forever. And I, all while I'm submitting my paperwork, finally my unit is actually slotted to go to Afghanistan. And I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, like nice. And but as a reservist, it's not like I'm going into work every day. I'm going in just every week or once a month. And the time comes where we're supposed to like go to Afghanistan, and like we're still not there. And I'm like, wait, aren't we gonna like do a workup or something? So I like call the unit, and I'm like, hey, what's up with this? And they're like, oh yeah, that got tanked. And dude, I was so fed up with it, and I'm like, I don't understand why I can't get this war. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna go the quickest route I can, like to where I'm guaranteed to fucking see something. I'm like, I'm gonna become a Navy SEAL. And so I called the Navy, and I'm like, hey, I want to be a SEAL. How do I do that? And they're like, oh yeah, fucking, they're like, are you coming in off the street, type thing? And I'm like, no, prior service. And so now I have to get a condition of release, which that fucking took forever to release me from my contract, to go from reserve Marine Corps to go active duty Navy. And turns out that that's really complicated, and it takes a while. And then also when you have two NJPs, that just complicates the paperwork even more. So I go into what's called the SEAL program, and that's where you have to take the PST and the S4s amount, and take psych tests and all this other stuff before they'll accept you into BUDS. And so I'm in this program for 2 years. And dude, like my job becomes training. Like I work just enough in the wintertime. I was living at 9,000 feet in the mountains, and I was building chimneys in the winter, just to make enough money to go to a gym and for food. And I was couch hopping. Yeah, I was couch hopping from friend's house to friend's house. So I was technically homeless, but I don't really describe it as that way because I still had a roof under my head. I just didn't have my own home. And I was
carrying around a random duffel bag with few belongings in a bowl.
Yeah, dude, seriously. It was like gym clothes, and that was like it. And so I built chimneys in the winter, and then I would move furniture in the summer. And like I said, I worked just enough to have money to go to the gym and train, because my job was training, because I had to be a SEAL. And I would do dude, the shit that I put myself through is way worse than anything I went through in selection or IT or MOS school for MARSOC, ITC. Like, dude, I just did fucking ridiculous stuff to where I would swim 2 miles. I did a full chest workout, and then just randomly, I would just tell myself, like, if I can't do a marathon right now, I don't deserve to be a SEAL. And so I would just do fucking wild shit like that. And then after like the 2 miles of swing and then the chest workout, I'd run a marathon with no food or water, and like already having been tired. Yeah, so then it would take me like 9 hours to do the marathon. But it didn't matter. I had to finish it. And I would do like hell weekends to myself, to where I would stay up for 72 hours. And because I didn't have to go to work as much as other people, you know, so I would stay up for 72 hours. I'd have to run to the mailbox and back before I could eat a meal. And it was a mile, because I was simulating running to the chow hall, like when you're in buds. And I would scarf down food just like they did. And then I'd have to run another mile. And so, and obviously I had to stay up for 72 hours. So I was like training, I was destroying my body. It was overtraining, motherfucker. But I was really mentally tough. And because every time, you know, everything I told myself, because the thing was, I had to go soft. I had to get hard in my heart. I had to go to combat, and I had to kill people, because I had 6 people in the future I had to kill. So, so that was where that obsession was coming. It was like, there was so much anger in my body. It was like, these people have to pay. There is no other option. And I have to do anything I can to make that happen. And so 2 years goes by, because it's just dealing with the Marine Corps and the Navy and paperwork, and it just took fucking forever. But I was like, I was an absolute fucking beast. And finally it comes down to where the Marine Corps is like, you are good to go. You can go to the Navy. And then the Navy's like, we are no longer taking prior service. And I was like, what? Like, dude, shattered my world, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, okay, fuck it. I'll be Navy EOD, because SEAL is Naval Special Warfare, and then EOD and Diver, that's Naval Special Operations. And so I was like, I'll go EOD. I was like, I'll just get my foot in the door and I'll be a SEAL later, not knowing that that's not really how that works, but I didn't know that at the time. And so, but they were like, no, we're not taking prior service like at all for anything. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, my whole life had just like crumbled in front of me. And that's when I saw that in the Marine Corps times, they had, because to go to MARSOC, you had to be 03. They were only taking infantry for a while. And then finally they opened it up to all MOSs. And it was like a week. They did that a week after I got denied to be a SEAL. And so I was like, boom, that's what I'm doing. I'm going MARSOC. And but the thing was, as long as I was reservist, no one knew how to do a fucking reservist package. It existed, but no one knew how to do it. The MARSOC recruiters didn't know how to do it. None of the prior service recruiters knew how to do it. No one knew. And so I had a buddy that was that he actually is in MARSOC too. We went together to selection. He was an admin clerk. Fucking thank God for that, because he knew how to find all the information through all the Marine Corps orders. So he put our packages together, and we both went to selection. And so I get to selection, right? And I tell myself, like, I'm not fucking around here. I'm not cheating. Like, if I don't, it's the same mentality. Like, if I don't make it out of my own like merit, I don't fucking belong here. Like, and so the selection board's going. There's a list of people that are like automatic selects. I'm not on it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how can this happen? My buddy's on it. I'm not.
This fucking happen.
Yeah, I was like, dude, and because I crushed it too, or at least I thought I did. You know, I'm like, dude, how? I fucking crushed everything. Like, how did this happen? And I'm not on the non-selected list, but I'm not on the select list. I'm on the you're going on a board list.
Oh,
and yeah, so 3 fucking days I had to wait with no information. It's just the whiteboard, like for 3 days. Like, I'll bring this things, be there at this time, and like, and dude, just fucking going crazy, because this was my life's mission, you know, that's in the balance, and I'm fucking losing my shit. And so finally, it's like, all right, it's your turn to go to the board.
So I'm waiting in this small room. They're like, all right, come in. And I come in, and it's like literally, it feels like the entire Marine Corps in there. It fucking everyone. There's sergeant majors, master guns. There's a general there. Like, dude, just everyone, all the instructors. And I'm like, whoa. And they're like, hey. So they wanted to ask me about my NJPs. They're like, hey, like essentially, hey, are you still an idiot? I'm like, no, I was young. And they're like, all right, cool. They're like, hey, so by the way, during one of the inspections, you tried passing one of your skivvy shirts, or one of your sweatshirts as a skivvy shirt, because you have to do inspections every day to make sure you have the proper shit in your ruck, like because it's all weighted stuff. And but the thing was, like I said, I was not fucking around. If I was missing something, I was missing something. That was my time. It wasn't going to happen again. And so I said, no, that's incorrect. And he's like, and this is a sergeant major. And he's like, are you calling me a liar? I'm like, no, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying that you're mistaken, because that was not me. I know it was not me. Dude, you're talking. For me, it's this is my life in the balance. And also, what I don't realize too is I have an anger problem. And so when and learning what I learn now, when you get amped up to a certain point, your frontal cortex starts shutting down, and you're working off the amygdala. So when that happens, like, I don't give a fuck who I'm talking to. Like, it could be a general, like I'll just say what's on my mind, which has gotten me in trouble a lot. But But yeah, I was like, no, you're mistaken. And everyone was like, oh shit, in the room. Oh. Yeah, but it was because they were trying to get me. They knew it wasn't me. They were just trying to see how it wasn't going to cave. And but they were pleased with my reaction, and so they sent me out of the room. And then and from what I understand, they already knew they were going to select me. They just wanted to see what I was going to say, if I was going to put my foot in my mouth or something. And because they called me in like 2 minutes later, and I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. They took like no time to decide. Like, I'm so fucked. And they're like, we have one more question for you. Like, because I was a sergeant already. Yeah. They're like, you understand that, because we're at this time, they're pushing sergeants out. Like, if you don't get promoted after 10 years, that's it. You have to get out. And I was already at 6 years, in the reserves as a sergeant. And so they're like, hey, you understand that by going after active duty, you may get pushed out of the Marine Corps. You may not get promoted fast enough. And are you okay with that? And I was like, my answer was, I'd rather be an operator for 1 day than a reservist for 20 years. And they were like, done, you're in. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So then I got selected. So I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. And I still don't know what kind of training I have available to me, but my whole goal is to get the training to learn how to kill people, right? And and get away with it. And so guess what route I took? I was the SSC SME for my team. And I went to all your guys' SSC schools, like the TEC, EAC, and the OAC. Yeah. And everyone was like, oh, fucking nerd, because no one likes that shit. Everyone's like, oh, I want to go to fucking Master Breacher, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I want to go to OAC. And they're like, what? That's fucking nerd shit. Like, and I always preach to the team, like, yo, SSC is really fucking important. Like, hey, you like kicking indoors? You want to continue kicking indoors? We need to do this so you can get information to turn into intel for target packages, blah, blah, blah. And
the added benefit for you is you want to know all the ways you can find out how to exploit things and formulate your plot, because you're still building to execute this plan.
Exactly. And it wasn't so much about exploitation. It was about essentially my job was also prosecution on the team, finding and collecting and processing evidence to put people in jail that you couldn't kill. And so the thing was I was looking for how can I get caught, and what are the things that I need to avoid so that I don't get caught. So because there's 6 people, I don't care what happens to me after I kill the 6 people, but I need to be able to kill all 6. And if they're in different locations, I can't get caught after the first or second one. So I need to know what I'm doing.
And so I went through those courses. Still was just like I feel like I just don't have enough. Like there's something I'm missing. And then I realized that, oh shit, because I built a pretty decent name for myself, like under the SSE SME. Like actually, we did some work with SEAL Team 5. Like I rewrote their SOP for at least the platoon we were with, their SOP for SSE because they fucking sucked at it. And then same with the Rock SEALs because we were doing a joint joint training exercise with them. So I was doing good things like in the SSE world when it came to just the knowledge portion or whatever. And but I was like, oh shit, like I know what I can do. I was like, I knew someone that was in the San Diego Police Department, and I was like, I'm going to trade information. Like, let's talk with the police department so I can see what their current TTPs are. What is it that they have access to? And like under the guise of like, hey, let's trade information. But really, I'm looking at like, what am I up against? And once I saw like what was going on, I was like, yeah, dude, I'm totally ready. Like it's time. And I go to my dad and I'm like, hey, and I forgot to tell you, my wife moved to Colorado as a reservist. She found the card and I explained what it was. And she was like, it's either me or the card. And I was like, I fucking remember the names. So I threw it away. And, but I forgot the names. So it's like, shit. So I had to go to my dad and I was like, hey, I need the names now. Like it's time. And he like got cold feet. We're like, no, like, I'm not giving you the names. I'm like, nope, it's too fucking late for that, man. Like my entire life has been for this.
This is all I've been doing. This is all I've been doing for my life. You are in this, motherfucker. We're doing this now.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, nope. But the thing was, I had a lot of practice and training for tactical questioning because, you know, also 3X stuff, you know, so it was like I wasn't unfamiliar with that stuff. So over like months, I was able to get 4 of the names. And I was like, all right, that's good enough. Like, I'll get the next 2, either by force if I have to. Like, I don't care. Like, but as of right now, I got 4 of them. And but the thing is what I didn't realize was I was getting impatient. And so I wanted him to confirm through picture that these were the people, because social media, everyone puts everything out on social media, and it's super easy to find people through that. And so, but I didn't want to kill the wrong person because people will share the same name. So I was like, hey, confirm that this is the fucking person that I need to smoke. And he wouldn't do it. So there was definitely ways that I could have gone about confirming myself. It just would have taken a long time. And I was like, I was done. I was so done with waiting. And was so like just had too much rage built into my system that I felt like lost, because I felt like because it wasn't until later that I figured out that I could have just done it myself. I felt like, well, there's no way I can confirm these people. I'm not wanting to kill random people or the wrong people. So I guess that's it. And the thing is that I continue to now I have no life submission. I'm in soft and I'm like, I just want to fucking kill. Like, I don't care who it is. I'm so angry at everything. I just want to murk the world. I just want the world to burn. And so the thing is I was at first MSOD at the time, or Marine Special Operations Battalion, which became 1st Raider Battalion. And second and first were just known for just wrecking shop in Afghanistan. And I went early. I was like class number 9 of ITC, so still in like the single digits. And so it was like the shit we were hearing while we were in ITC were like, dude, it's fucking crazy. Like, there's a dude that like killed a insurgent with his fucking nods. You know, and I'm hearing stories like this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is where I belong. Like, holy fuck. This is awesome.
Like, this is what I was bred for.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is sick. And I had a choice, like, after we graduated ITC, like, do you want to go to first or do you want to go to third? And third was going to Africa. And I was like, nope, been there. And what's it called? Like, first was going to Afghan. I was like, fuck yeah, that's where I need to go. And because first, like I said, it's called HVGC, the Helmand Valley Gun Club. And that was like first known for that. And so I was like, that's where I'm going. And everyone that was competent, and except for a couple dudes that just really wanted to go to third. Everyone that was competent like went to first, because third at the time was known as the guys that all they did was like FID. They just went different places and did FID. And first and second were like fucking heavy
hitters that were just like fucking crushing Afghan.
And so that's majority of us. That's why we came to MARSOC, was to kick in doors and fucking shoot people in the face. And so, yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I emphasize that because it's changed now, because the students coming through are way different from when like I came through, like my generation came through, and from before. It's a whole different dynamic, because like obviously the war itself is like fucking over. And well, yeah. But anyways, we get to first, Afghan. I'm like, fucking yeah, this is awesome. And what's it called? We're in the middle of our shooting package,
and we get told like, hey, we're being regionalized. I'm like, what does that mean?
They're like, we're not going to Afghan. I'm like, what? They're like, we're going to PACOM. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what's happening there? They're like, nothing. I'm like, fuck. Like, this sucks.
No.
And, yeah. And so we get regionalized. We go to PACOM, and the Philippines actually had some stuff going down, but I won't get too much. I might have to change my earphones. Their battery's getting low, but I won't get into that very much. But the Philippines was kind of cool. But that by my second deployment with MARSOC,
I was like losing my shit, because I was like, I'm finally in fucking SOF.
Like I don't know where else to go. Like, I'm not killing people. Like, why is this not happening for me?
I don't understand. And I'm just getting more and more and more angry and frustrated. And I finally snap. Like, I'm like, I am going to kill random people. I'm fucking done. And so I'm like, I have all this. And this is what terrifies me, is like, because I almost went through with it. And I'll tell you, I won't go into too much detail, but I'll tell you what I was doing. But like, dude, if any of us like ever decided to fucking cause some ruckus, we could do a lot of damage. And it's just crazy that the military, it's like, we're going to train you to be so fucking deadly. Not only that, not only as an individual, but we're going to train you how to train other people. We're going to tell you how to destabilize governments. And then what we're going to do is then we're going to shit on you right before you get out, and then throw you to the wolves and have nothing for you.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like the one demographic you don't want to fuck over, which they constantly fuck over. It's almost like it's like they have a plan for it to happen. Like, come on.
Dude. I know, it's fucking crazy. And dude, I was there, man. I was just like, I'm done. And so I was using everything I learned. And the thing is I also learned that there's and by the way, like when I found out we were going to PACOM, I was under the impression that if you were soft, when there was no war happening, you were fighting cartels. And I was like, well, aren't we gonna like fight cartels or something? They're like, nah, dude, we don't do that. I was like, fuck. Like, what is this place? Where am I?
Everything you've told me is a lie, a complete lie.
Yeah. Dude, that's why I was talking to Daryl. I was like, dude, I should have been a fucking ranger. Like, damn, I would have got what I wanted.
Yeah, for so many young guys out there, if you want to be in the premier kinetic force and constantly be in the fight, go to Ranger Regiment.
Oh, dude, yeah. You know, it's hilarious as an instructor in ITC, especially because I already knew like that shit was like going. Only second was really doing anything, and even then it was dwindling down. And so you know you got these like super starry-eyed fucking students looking at you like, how is it in the shit? You know, and you're like, there is no shit. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Yeah. Some hated fucking salty instructor that like has just been nothing but let down his entire life. You know, and you have this like bright-eyed fucking hopeful little sergeant looking at you like, oh, like I can't wait to, you know, do the thing that I was meant to do. And you're like, yeah, man, not gonna fucking happen for you, dude. Sorry. You know, and they're like, no. Especially for officers, because they come in thinking they're gonna be like door kickers too. It's like, nah, dude,
you're gonna do one pump as like our face, and you're not gonna do shit, but like
con ops or like make sure our con ops are good. And then you're gonna go to the schoolhouse right after that. And they're like, no. But I thought I was gonna be a team guy. It's like, no, man, sorry.
No. Oh my God.
I'm going to run the team, right? It's like, no, that's the team, chief. Like, you just sit in the corner and you look pretty and you make sure that your rank is nice and shiny, and you will be good to go. He's like, oh.
This is all you're going to be able to ever do. Sit on that desk and work on a computer.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's pain. It's the same pain on our side for the GBs. It's especially now. War is over.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You're either gonna have to love the actual real mission, like that real brainy.
Yep.
Like you have to understand the UW concept of, and that's what you have to love. That's what you're gonna have to. You have to divorce yourself from this idea that you're going to be running and gunning in Afghan. Like that's over. That's gone. And there's so many dudes right now that cannot get that out of their heads. Like it's.
Oh, dude, I know that it's like I'm one of them. Like, to be 100% honest, like, and I tell people all the time, like, it's like, call me immature, but like, I don't care about the strategic implications of what I'm doing right now. Like, if I'm not like kicking in a door like that's why I came. And I mean, obviously, I have a different dynamic. It's like I need to fucking kill because that's my mission. Like in life. So like it goes a little bit deeper than just not understanding the strategic implications. I understand that like very well.
It's not caring.
I just have no interest in it. And so actually that's what partially was up. And I'm still doing things.
Yeah, let's do this. Sounds like family stuff on your end, because I think we're deep into this. We're like almost 3 hours deep into this.
Oh shit!
Like, this fucking flew. We need to do a part 2. We cannot, like, this has been way too good, but so that everybody can go back to their family.
Fuck your family.
Like, this is time. Everybody's going to dinner. But what I want to say, Tim, is this has been phenomenal. You have an insane story, and we're gonna do this. This is part 1. Real quick, I want to plug your shop, so please just give me a quick roll up on your forge, your shop, the current raffle you got going on. Yep. And we're gonna have to pick this up this coming week during a work week, and we got to finish part 2 because it's perfect. We're now. What we'll pick up next time to the audience out there is now we have Tim, full blown Raider. He's in soft, but has yet to get to that point where his obsession, his drive for all these years. Is he going to finish this mission? Is he going to finish this mission? And I think we're going to learn that the reality of it is that this whole idea wasn't truly a mission. This whole working up to this fucking idea that you have to be like this cold calculating killer is ultimately not the end goal that any of us is looking for. And at some point we can all identify with your journey, Tim, and getting to that point of saying like, oh fuck, we weren't built for this. This isn't the sci-fi world that we thought that we can just be bred and born of this idea to like execute this mission to end this the enemy's life. So
yeah, dude, it's gonna be a midnight Shyamalan ending. It's gonna have a twist.
What a twist! But real quick, give us the information on your forge. Tell us about your biz.
Yeah, so it's Ouroboros Forge. My website is ouroborosforge.com. And I make custom knives, ranging from culinary knives to hunting knives, bushwhacking knives, murdering knives, right? So like tactical knives and like Gurkhas, kukris, things like that. I make them in mono steel. We'll get into like all the intricacies of all of this on the next one, but mono steel, Sanmai, Damascus. I do like mosaic Damascus and things of that nature. I have a current raffle going on right now. There's a maker that his name is Wiley Brooks that recently became homeless, him and his family. I came upon this because he was raffling one of his blades, and to try and support his family. Like, hey, like I need to try and make as much money off the singular blade as I can, because I'm fucking homeless. So I was like, yo, dude, do you mind if I have this blade that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with? Do you mind if I raffle it off and, in support of your cause? And he said, yeah. And I was like, do you mind if I ask a couple of the makers if they're willing to donate as well? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. So it became this huge thing. Now we have I think 23 items, ranging from obviously like custom knives to like a handmade, hand stitched, like leather bound journal. We have a rounding, like hammers for forging for makers. There's what else? So I know that there's something else that is super unique. I can't remember it right now, but if you go to my forge, there's a drop down or the link in my bio on my Instagram, which is just at Ouroboros_forge. It'll take you to my website, and it's just under Bladesworks raffle. It'll show you all the pictures of everything that's being submitted as a donation, and it's insane. There's a bunch of really awesome pieces. Tickets are $25. The raffle ends September 20th, so that's when we're going to announce the winners, and there's going to be one winner per item. So buy as many tickets as you can, spread the word, because the more people that obviously buy tickets, 100% of the money that I gain or amass through the selling of the tickets is going to Wiley Brooks and his family, so that he's like in a shelter right now with his family trying to get a job because he was, bladesmithing, he's cutting it right now. So yeah, I want to put together all this or all the money so that he can have a jump start on his new life. So that's what we got going on right now.
Heck yeah, brother. We'll put this out on our social media platforms. And again, go to Ouroboros Forge, OUROBOROS_FORGE. I can't pronounce things properly. So please go to that Instagram, hit the link tree, and start putting in some cash for this raffle. It's for a good cause. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's been part one of Tim the Raider Man story. Intriguing to say the least. It's blown my mind. I already knew Tim. We've been through recovery and treatment centers together. Now we're getting an intimate look to see how Tim operated at a young age, and ultimately how he was planning to has not executed this plan.
Yes. No.
This is not a show about the murder mystery. This is just the methodical process that this man had gone through due to his upbringing and background. So it's an insightful look. We can all learn from this, and I cannot wait to get to part two. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. And for the rest of you guys and gals out there, thank you for tuning. This has been another great show at Security Halt Podcast. Goodbye.